Wait for it. Wait for it. And we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, we want you to know that Madam Stabby is not here today. I have it on good authority. It is not because we stabbed her back. Just seasonal allergies. At least that's Nick's alibi, and I am not questioning too deeply.
Well, nature stabbed her in the sinuses with pollen, so I guess, yeah, technically she got stabbed.
But not by you, if anyone's listening, Mr. FBI, CIA, and SA man.
Stabbed in the sinuses.
Stabbed in the sinuses.
By Robert Kroese. Stabbed in the sinuses. All right, speaking of Robert Kroese, can you please introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers?
I'm writing that down now.
Stabbed in the sinuses.
Sorry, I started talking before people knew who I was. My name is Rob Kroese or Robert Kroese. I'm terrible at branding, so I keep changing. I switch between Rob and Robert. But on my books, I'm Robert Kroese, and it's spelled Kroese. So you would never guess it's Kroese. But I'm working with that handicap. So yeah, and I'm a sci-fi fantasy writer, and have a Kickstarter going on right now, and I guess we're going to talk about that a little bit.
So the next part of the introduction, dear listeners, how we first found them. And normally I would make a joke about hair Google and time travel and something funny, but I just didn't have the funny vibe going on tonight. So I will tell you, we both write reviews for the Upstream Reviews, and I have seen his images for his covers floating around, and they are just too cool. It is a shame that his original cover went bye-bye when Amazon closed their marketing or publishing company. Because that was some 50s vibe, sexy goodness. But his new covers are cool too, so we're good. And when he said he was doing a Kickstarter, I thought that's the time and excuse to get him on the show. So here we are. But before we let you get started, sir, you have to answer the religion questions. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Star Wars, Star Trek, or Firefly?
At this point, I have to go with Firefly, I guess. I would have said Star Wars, but Star Wars, if we ignore the last 20 years, I would say Star Wars. Otherwise, Firefly.
That's fair. They were polluted. Some of that started with, I think I've said this before, but some of that started with Lucas because he never let a project he couldn't say yes to. So he ended up, and of course, everybody writing in the Star Wars world, they wanted to make characters.
The prequels were.
Oh, I'm not even talking about the prequels. I was talking specifically.
It's weird to me growing up now to have.
The extended lore. We got a little bit of a lag, people, but we're going to work with it. The extended lore. The problem with that, when Disney bought it, they had to ditch so much of it because George said yes to everything. So he would have the main characters, Han, Luke, Leia, in all the different places that they couldn't all be at the same time because it's established canon to get from A to B is however long of time traveling, and somehow they did it in half that time because reasons. And so there's just the lore was not. That was I remember the old message boards back when it was AOL dial-up complaining about the way that this book couldn't be true if this book was true, and fans were going at it even before Disney and the House of the Mouse was involved. So
well, none of that stuff really holds up to too much scrutiny. So
no,
it's just. I mean, even if you go back to Empire Strikes Back, where Luke's training ends up taking about 3 days, if you I mean, the whole training process, it's just done with editing basically. It's wait a minute, this happened in an hour over here, and then you go back to Dagobah and it's it seems like weeks have passed, but no, it's
after that. Yeah, I went back and watched Empire and the original trilogy after watching the sequel trilogy, and I was like, all right, maybe I was a little too harsh on Rey.
yeah. I mean, it's
just a little, because Luke's kind of a Mary Sue also.
You can't. You can't. It's just supposed to be. I mean, you can get away with a lot by saying, well, it's just for kids or whatever. But I mean, those movies really were. I mean, they were never meant to be. This kind of like it's not Lord of the Rings is what I'm saying.
Right.
It doesn't never had that level of thought into it, and people trying to make it into that now is, I mean, you're really trying to stretch the material.
Lucas later admitted, he's like, yeah, I wrote the first one. I had plans for the stuff, but before that he was claiming, oh, I had all 9 planned out, ready to go. And I'm like, you, sir, are a Modesto liar. No, because I'm from Modesto.
I used to live in Ripon, which is about 20 minutes north of Modesto. Not even that. It's like 10 minutes north of Modesto. We used to go to Modesto. We used to go to Modesto all the time, go to the mall there and stuff. All the restaurants are in Modesto, so we would go down there. And then we would flee back to Ripon.
Vintage Fair Mall.
Yep, Vintage Fair Mall.
Do you guys need a moment?
Nice I haven't been there for a few years now, but I'm back in Michigan now.
Michigan's better than Modesto.
You guys need a moment
here first.
Yeah, we're having a Modesto moment here. Central Valley.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you some space. We'll just be over here thinking about sci-fi.
Modesto's a little rough, yeah.
Yeah, like I have to tell people, they're like, well, where are you from originally? I'm like, well, I spent a lot of years growing up in Modesto. Don't look for me on a milk carton. I assure you I'm well and I'm safe, because a lot of people go missing there. It's kind of like that town from the Lost Boys, but not coastal or cool. Or
I have a friend who was like
Modesto and Stockton are in this race to be like the worst city in the United States. There's always you never know which one. Like they do this ranking every year, Money Magazine or somebody, and it's like always Modesto or Stockton, and we never know which one it's going to be, but it's always one of the two. Yeah. And I lived right in between.
Right. I think it was settled by a coin flip every year between.
I think so. They don't put that much thought into it. It's just kind of like, well, we know one of these shitholes is the worst.
I have a friend that was from Plano. He always said they were the worst because they were the meth capital of the world.
That's Modesto now.
There's a lot of meth in the Central Valley. Yeah, Modesto.
Yeah. Breaking Bad, hey?
Bad.
Yeah. A lot of Winnebagos. I never put the 2 and 2 together until the show came out.
All right, let's get back on track, and we're going to finish out this religion question. Are you ready for the next one, sir?
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, The Wheel of Time, or Chronicles of Narnia?
Yes.
He sounds so excited.
Yes.
Wheel of Time.
I gotta go with Narnia. Because I mean, are we talking TV? Anyway, I'm gonna go with Narnia. C.S. Lewis is Narnia is a weird series. If you go back and read it as an adult, it's like an acid trip, but C.S. Lewis is good stuff.
Yeah, it's like I want what he's having.
That's a lot of the stuff you read as kids that you love. When you go back and visit it as an adult, you have questions.
Yeah, you really do. You're like, man, what was this guy doing? Like, it's a very weird. Like, who comes up?
It's like, this? And then Santa Claus shows up and gives them weapons. It's like, what? Wait, what happened?
Nick and I wrote Christmas. Here you go. Claus. You get a bow and arrow. You get a sword that's enchanted.
Right. Yeah. Here's some deadly weapons.
You get a dagger.
Go kill some monsters.
Assassin.
We just got here.
Go take it.
Why is this our job?
20 minutes, and this old man's giving me weapons. I need an adult.
So we try to be civilized here at the.
I'm getting a bit of a stutter and lag here, so
it's okay. We'll power on. So we try to be civilized here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. We left behind our knuckle dragging troglodyte ways. So, sir, we do have a formal question for you. Are you ready for this? Coffee or tea, and how do you take it?
I'm not sure I heard the question.
Do you drink coffee or tea, and how do you take it?
What was the question?
Do you drink coffee or tea, and how do you take it?
And I put a lot of crap in it. I put a lot of. Sorry, we got a lag, and then also sometimes you're cutting out a little bit, so it's making it difficult. But I drink coffee, and I put a lot of stuff in it. I put half and half, and sugar and stuff in it. So I'm kind of a pansy, I guess, but I like it. Keeps me awake.
Oh man, you like flavor? There's nothing wrong with that.
Flavor, yeah. People. People talk down about my kind, but
what is your
who's
kind?
going to say no to sugar? The kind who like sugar and milk and cream and stuff in their coffee.
Oh, you mean
I don't know. It just feels like it's a kind of masochism to drink just black coffee. It's like you're trying to prove something. It's like, no, just add stuff that tastes good to it.
I never brought that up in therapy. That's a good topic for my next session. Why do you drink coffee black, Nick? Because I'm trying to prove how much I hate myself and my body.
See, and I could have told
I will
you
go
that.
the extra mile. I don't know. We've been getting these flavored coffees from Coffee Brand Coffee. I'm really like, what is it? The pecan roll, buttered pecan roll, and it smells amazing. It smells like Christmas and your birthday and the 4th of July when you're brewing it. It's amazing. It's like all the happy thoughts. Like if I was in Peter Pan's universe,
very nice.
That would be my happy thought.
Good
that would
stuff.
allow me to fly taking a cup of that coffee.
Yeah. I'm still digging the s'mores. I'm on like my 4th bag.
We haven't got that yet, but that's probably our next order is the s'mores.
It's delicious. It is like a camping experience in your mouth. I would describe it more vividly, but it's family friendly.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
It is just an experience in your mouth, sir. And a good one. Wow, that's going to get clipped. I'm going to hear that again. So let's get back on track. So Robert, you write the things, you read the things. How did you discover your love of the speculative fiction sort of umbrella?
Well, I was writing this story in 2nd grade as an assignment. One of the things we had to do, is in school, was we had to write a little story, and I wrote the story about Captain Bill and his spaceship and how they go to Jupiter and all this stuff. And I got really involved in this story. I think everybody else's story was like a page or two. And it's like the paper that has like 5 lines on a page. So it was like Captain Bill went to Jupiter and fought a monster at the end. And my story just kept going and going and going, and I kept going back to get more paper. And then I went out to my teacher and I was like, well, should I start working on my math now? And she was looking at the story. She was like, no, you just keep writing. And I was like, this is amazing. I could just keep writing and not do any of my other work. And it turned out you can't. You can't do that forever. But I thought this is great. This is what I want to do. And the next 20 years or so, 20, 30 years of my life was like trying to recapture that. And like, I need to get back to that point where they tell me, no, just keep writing. Don't do any of this other boring stuff. Keep writing. And I finally got to that point where people are a few years ago where I've got enough, fans where people are like, yeah, no, you don't have to, don't have a regular job. Once in a while I have to do some real work, but for the most part, I just do this as my job, which is pretty amazing because it's not something that a lot of people are able to do.
And that's very true. Creative work is work, and it's hard work, but it doesn't always pay the bills. So every once in a while you gotta go down to the peasant level and put in a full 8 or a full 40 or whatever to pay the bills. But it's like I tell people, it's like, yeah, this is my job, but the comic books that's my career. So yeah, I can relate.
Yep.
Do you draw any inspirations from, because we talked earlier about, are you originally from the Central Valley or you just spent a lot of time there?
I lived there. I grew up in Michigan and then I moved to the Central Valley in like 1995. Yeah. Well, for me, it was an improvement because I still hate the winters here. In fact, I flee the winters here almost every year. I go to Mexico or someplace where it's warm, because one nice thing about being a writer is that you can do it anywhere. And so I get an Airbnb in some Latin American country and get away from the winters here. So I grew up here and then I lived in the Central Valley for like 18 years. And then I came back here about 10 years ago. And I do like Michigan, and I love the summers, and actually the spring and the fall are pretty nice. But the winter, well, the problem is it goes on for 6 months, so it's like, it's after about 2 months, you're like, okay, I'm ready for it to be over now. And you still have like, it's like, it's like now it's like mid-December and I'm done with winter, and it's like we haven't even had Christmas yet. So I need, so it gets so then I flee to Mexico or Colombia or Costa Rica or something.
Well, that's cool. So like, do you incorporate, like, when you were growing up, like between Michigan and California and your adventures in South America and warmer climates, do you incorporate that into your stories? Do you set those up as environments, as like separate planets, or?
For tax purposes, I draw a lot of inspiration from my places I travel to. I go to, like last year I went to Colombia, and wouldn't you know it, one of my characters goes to Colombia, and then my vacation becomes a tax write-off, because I had to do research.
They're doing research. Yeah.
So, and I've done this all over the world. And so far the IRS seems to be okay with it. I've gone to Hungary, and I did a series about Vikings, the Iron Dragon series, a few years ago. And I went to, all over Europe, basically, and wrote it off. So that was cool. Most of my writing is pretty much, it's very fantastical, fanciful, and it doesn't draw a whole lot of real world inspiration. It's I sprinkle things in, and then stuff like Grand Rapids has shown up in my books, and Modesto, I think, has made it in there a few times, and other places that I've been to, and especially for financial reasons, it's important that I mention the places that I'm at, because then I don't know how they, like, if the IRS ever comes to you and you're like, oh yeah, well, on page 67 right here, I mentioned that this guy was from this town in France, or in northern France, and I had to go there, to and then, like, how do they, I don't know what kind of guidelines they use to determine whether I put enough in the book, to make it to make it a valid business trip. But I think I'm going to find out at some point. I'm going to get a knock on the door, but
more likely it's probably a percentage of some kind. Like, how much of your time over there were you actually working? 80%.
Right. Yeah. But then, and like, how much of it is what like had to be done there, because I can't just write off a trip because I was working during the trip. I think it has to be, I had to take the trip because to visit someplace for work, and so I don't know what the guidelines are there, but so far I haven't had a problem.
I'm sure their math is similar to the Veterans Affairs math for like rating service-connected injuries. It's probably some weird.
You think they actually have a formula for it? Because I think they just make it up as they go. And
I'm pretty sure it's like 5 monkeys in a warehouse with a pad of paper, a banana, and a pen, and they just go at it.
That's what I was picturing.
Whoever survives, and their equation is somewhat readable, I guess they just go with that.
You assume all of those monkeys are sober. That was bold.
Yeah, I never assume anybody's sober at any time. Life's hard, man. Like, if you can get away with like being inebriated most of the time, I say go for it. Live your best life.
Rob, I saw your Viking series. I didn't realize that was you. That was on my list. I meant to circle back and interview the author on.
Yeah, see, this is my problem. One of my problems as a writer is that I write so many different things that people are like, "Oh, you're that guy too," and so then, I build up a fan base. It's like there's people like those Iron Dragon books were really successful. They did really well, and then for some reason I go, I want to do something completely different, and so then I switch gears and I lose everybody. So I'd be a lot more successful if I just like wrote Space Vikings all the time, or just any one thing all the time. But I don't. I keep switching up. So,
or you just kept your name consistent so they knew who they were reading. Like Robert, is this the same person?
Right. Well, all my books say Robert. I just in my personal life, people tend to call me Rob. Like, I grew up as Rob. I kind of prefer Robert, but so then I end up being like Robert. But all my books always say Robert and Robert Kroese. But it's just like, if you look me up on Amazon, I mean, it's mostly sci-fi fantasy, but it's like every different kind of, there's like sci-fi humor, like historical, alternate history stuff. I wrote a book called Schrodinger's Gat, which was a quantum physics noir thriller. And I wrote a straight like fantasy series. And it was just because I'm like, I want to challenge, I like doing different things. And so I keep mixing it up, and then I confuse people and lose my audience, or a lot of my audience. But the good thing is I've got core fans who stick around, who are like, what is this lunatic going to do next? And so
one of these days someone's going to write the Schrodinger's Cat series, where it's like, I'm sick of being effed around, I'm going full Hitman, and the cat is just going to be the main character, like attacking everyone.
The cat gets revenge. Yeah.
Schrodinger's Revenge. There we go. It wrote itself.
Oh. Schrodinger's List? No, wait.
No. Yeah, I'm sensing
nope, too close. Involved. Too close. No, that's pretty awesome that you're able to write and be successful in sci-fi and fantasy and sci-fi fantasy. I think that's a credit to your range as a writer.
So have you transitioned beyond just the written word? I'm assuming you have audiobooks, but like, have you done graphic novels, any other form of publishing mediums for your work?
No. At this point, no. I'm sticking with novels for the main thing that I do. I don't even really write. I've written a few short stories, but I prefer novels. I really like the novel format, and I could see doing like a graphic novel sometime. But at this point, I don't know. I'm probably going to stick with novels for a while, because I feel like there's enough possibilities in that medium, and it's just the kind of the way that I think. I'm very much verbally oriented, and so I tend to do that. Although I also do some graphic stuff, but not as my primary gig.
Okay, that is cool. So speaking of your primary gig, you got a Kickstarter going. So what can you tell us about it?
So the Kickstarter is for my Rex Neolo series, which is the books. The first book is called Starship Grifters, which is, of course, a nod to Starship Troopers. And all the books in this series are kind of they're humorous books. I describe them as sort of a cross between, if you know the Stainless Steel Rat books, Harry Harrison's kind of classic sci-fi books from, I don't know, 60s through 80s, I guess. Just a lot of fun, and sort of a combination of that and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, sort of a wacky sort of humor. And so Starship Grifters, and then that was published by Amazon's publishing imprint, 47 North. And then I did 3 sequels to that over several years ago. And every once in a while, people keep coming back to me saying, when are you going to do another one of these books? Because they love the characters so much. Because I have this con man character, Rex, who is just a complete jackass, basically. And he's always getting into these insane situations where he wins a planet in a poker game or something similarly insane. And he ends up usually saving either the world or the galaxy almost by accident every time in every series. And then he's got this kind of long-suffering robot sidekick who is sort of the brains behind the operation. But every time she has the robot, if she has an original thought, she shuts down for 30 seconds. So she'll be trying to get him out of a jam, and then she will shut down and then come back online, and she's the narrator. And so then the narrator will find that things have gotten dramatically worse in the period where she was unconscious. They're a lot of fun to write, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens. And then people keep asking me, when are you going to do more of these books? And I kind of wanted to do some more serious sci-fi stuff, because I started off doing humor when I was writing, doing humorous stuff. And I did the Iron Dragon books and a few other serious things that I thought were a little bit more of a reach for me. But then people kept bugging me, asking me to do more of these. And I thought, that would be kind of a fun break. Now I've done enough of this other stuff. So I decided to do 3 more of these books, and I'm doing, so I'm going to basically write these 3 books over the next year, and I'm doing a Kickstarter to fund them. And the money basically goes to me because I need to live. So I've raised, I think we're at like a little over 11,000 now. And of course I make some money selling the books on Amazon too, but this is a big chunk of my income. So it's, although it may seem like a lot of money, like I'm aiming for the target is $15,000. It's not really that much if considering that I have to, like, this is a large amount of what I need to live on. So, yeah, I'm going to be writing 3 more of these books over the next year, and I'm actually working on the covers for some of them right now. And I have, you can see there the existing ones are Starship Grifters, iRobot, Out of the Soylent Planet, The Wrath of Khans. And then the ones that I'm going to be working on are A Scammer Darkly. That's a favorite title of mine because it's a reference to, well, if you don't know, then I'm not going to tell you. The Handmaid's Tale, and A Grift Too Far. Although somebody on Twitter suggested High Plains Grifter, and now I kind of think I have to do High Plains Grifter because I was like, damn, that's a good title. It's better than anything. High Plains Grifter. Yeah, I thought I was kind of mad at myself that I didn't think of that. I like A Scammer Darkly a lot too, but there's a lot I can do with High Plains Grifter. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting in and writing these things over the next few years, and God willing, if the funding comes through in the Kickstarter, I'll be able to do that. So yeah, the cover on the left there is the original cover, which Amazon, back when they were first getting into the publishing industry, they were throwing a lot of money at cover design and authors like me too, and so they did this amazing cover for me. And I tried to do when I did the sequels, I tried to sort of match that look, but that's a really good cover, but it's a really difficult cover to try to match. And it's the guy, the original artist was like, he's like a top-notch cover artist. And so when you start with something like that, it's really hard to try to keep up that level of quality, because they paid him a lot of money, I think, because he's a real serious designer. And so then the one on the right is the new version, which is not quite as fancy, but I think it's actually a little close. The characters are it's a little closer to what I imagine the characters being. So
it looks really similar. I think if you added some like distress, like overlays on it, like on the one to the left, make it look
there actually is some on there. There's a little bit on the right there, but it's not as pronounced. So I did start off because I love that he did that. He made it look like a weathered paperback. That's such a cool effect. And so I did a little of that too. But yeah, so it's a little easier to match that style of cover. And so I'm going to be cranking out some more of those books over the next year or so.
I think both covers are great. I don't think you made any wrong choices there, and it's continuous with the rest of the other books.
Yeah,
I like that he's in a pirate getup. And
each of the books kind of he's right. He's got the little parrot Squawky on his shoulder there. Each of these books he gets into some kind of a situation, and it's kind of unique to that book, and then he has to kind of work through it with all of his insane plans and the help of his robot Sasha. So they're actually a lot of fun to write. I have to get myself in the frame of mind to write them, so I have to watch a lot of like Marx Brothers movies and read Douglas Adams and stuff to get into this sort of like crazy zany sort of mindset where anything can happen, and like Rex is always thinking about like the next payday and the next thing that he can, the next scam he can pull, and it like is always trying to like outdo himself. And so I'm always trying to escalate things, and of course every time he does anything, it seems to work, and then it backfires on him and makes things worse. So it's definitely a different kind of writing than something like Iron Dragon, which is very kind of a slow burn and kind of building to a climax, and everybody their actions are more or less rational, whereas Rex is not. He's certifiably insane.
Well, I like the tagline you have here on the books. The galaxy needed a hero. It got Rex Nilo. I'm like, oh man.
Right.
Okay, that makes me
they needed one. They needed a hero, and he's not exactly it, but he's what they got.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like stuff like that where it's telling me a lot about the cover about the character without telling me really anything. So it's like, yeah, right. The galaxy needed a hero, and well, it got me, and I did the best I can. I'm like, oh, this guy sounds like he's going to get in some shit. So let's give him a read.
Yeah, he gets himself into it.
So before we dive too deeply into the books themselves, let's start at the Kickstarter. Obviously, you are funding. These are the books that are already written, correct? These 4?
Yes.
And so you are funding, it looks like, to write the next 4.
The next 3, yes.
3. Okay. Is there... let me pull those covers up. You have proposed covers. So let me get those up that I grabbed from your Kickstarter.
There's one that those are not, that's just like the first cover. I think I did, because I hadn't done any of the actual design on those yet. Covers TBD. I did send you an image in Discord of a Scammer Darkly, which is the one that I'm working on now.
Okay, I'll get to that one in just a second. And then you have, in addition to that,
there it is. So that's going to be that's the first of the new books. So this is the new style of covers, and I've been working on the design for that. So it's sort of this is one that has sort of a cyberpunk style to it because of the Philip Dick connection. So Philip Dick Blade Runner kind of thing. So and of course I've done the cover, but I haven't actually written the book. So sometimes I do the cover first, and then I work the elements of the cover into the book. Because these books are just insane, so I just do what, like, you can just have whatever you want happen and just have it be completely like that's what happened with iRobot, the one where he's a pirate. The cover artist put a parrot on the guy's shoulder, and I was like, oh, that's great. I'm gonna put that in the book, because I hadn't written the book yet. I just told him it was going to be having something to do with pirates, and he thought I'll put this robot parrot on his shoulder, and I was like, okay, that's great. I got to put put a robot parrot in the book. So
it's fun. And I like this cover too, but especially the suit design, because it's like half regular fabric, and then got some technology-laced stuff going on in there.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a cyberpunk-ish kind of thing.
Yeah, I love the look on all the covers of this guy. He's just kind of like looking like, all right, who's coming to get me? Am I going to get away with this?
He's right. So, he's always trying to get away with something. He's
in addition to getting the books. If you back it, it looks like he's got merchandise too.
Oh yeah. I've got miniatures. In fact, I have the prototypes of the miniatures here.
Hold on, let me put your solo screen so we can see the real one. Oh, nice. They're not painted, but it's nice.
They're not painted, yeah. That's Rex. You can't really see him really, really well, but I have Rex, and I have Pepper. This is Pepper. Pepper Melange is her name, and this is the robot Sasha. God, I'm really bad at like orienting myself to the camera. You can't really see it very well, but because they're tiny. But they're like standard miniature size. So yeah, they'll be painted unless you want them unpainted. Yeah, so this is a new thing that I haven't done miniatures before. So I'm offering custom miniatures and mugs and bookmarks. I forgot what they were called. Bookmarks and posters, and I forget what else. Various other swag for supporting at the higher levels, and people can get characters named after them, or you could name a character yourself, and at higher levels you can even have some input into what the character is like. So you can tell me, I want this character to be whatever, a smuggler who has 3 heads or something, and I will try to work that into the book. Nice. So I try to make it like the Kickstarter is sort of a cooperative kind of enterprise, because people are supporting me, and so I want to give them a chance to have some input into the books as much as I can. And so, with books like these, I have enough flexibility to do that, because, like I said, I can make anything happen because they're so insane.
Yeah.
So normally we would put a commercial here, but we have you listed as a sponsor because you were generous enough to do that. So would you mind giving us a 30-second elevator pitch on this universe that, convince people it's theirs, they want to buy in?
Wow. Okay. 30-second elevator pitch. So Rex Nilo is the galaxy's greatest wheeler dealer, at least in his own mind. And he's always getting into crazy situations and trying to make money and go for the next big score. And his plans always go wrong one way or another, but usually he ends up saving the galaxy in the process. And along the way, he has a robot assistant named Sasha, who is doing her best to try to keep him from killing himself and everyone around him. I have the current book is the first book is Starship Grifters. There's 3 books after that, and 3 more books that I am going to be writing over the next year. And there's a Kickstarter going on for that right now. And link is I don't know. You can go to Kickstarter and search for Robert Kroese, Kroese, and hopefully we have a link here for that.
It'll be in the show notes under the sponsor, and you should be able to get that easy peasy. People, check the show notes. We always link to the things. So that
technology.
Is technology.
Love it.
When it works, sometimes it doesn't. It does hate us, but there, we probably shot up a lot of technology. It's like getting even. The overlords have awoken, Nick.
They do. They randomly they awaken for weird stuff.
This universe seems like it's all over the place in the wackadoodle territory in a good way. So what is the origin story for this world? Like, how did you come up with this character and everything that the universe he exists in?
So probably the biggest, there's basically 3 main inspirations for this book. Well, maybe 4. Let's say 4, because one of them is Star Wars. Star Wars is kind of the sort of the background. Like, I wanted to take the sort of the world of Star Wars, where you have this sort of multi racial kind of crazy backdrop civilizations where there's all these different kinds of aliens and technologies and stuff, and that's all kind of the background for it. So you have that as sort of the background layer, and then you have Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is sort of the mindset, and then Harry Harrison's Stainless Steel Rat books. The Stainless Steel Rat is this guy who he's a thief and a con man, and they're a lot of fun. So that's another inspiration for this character. And the third one, or fourth one, I guess we're on now, oddly enough, is there's a Marx Brothers movie called Duck Soup, where Groucho Marx ends up being the president of this country, Fredonia, that's at war with some other country, and he ends up playing both sides against each other, and it's completely insane, and it's very, very funny, and that's the biggest a source of humor. The Marx Brothers movies are fantastic for inspiration for this kind of thing. So you mash those all together, and that you get the Starship Drifters Rex Neolo universe.
I like
He's
it.
over here thinking. You're giving him so many ideas. I can see his arm twitching because he's writing stuff down. So Nick, how long before you steal his ideas? I mean, borrow them liberally and make a new graphic novel.
I don't steal people's ideas.
Just borrow them liberally.
If you can,
anyway.
I do. That's what I mean. It's this is all stolen. It's just the combination that's original. You know, I mean, like everything is stolen from somewhere. So,
well, yeah, like my comic books, they're homages to existing characters with my own spin. So it's all part of the formula. You know, I could take a street level Cal wearing hero with a cape, and then throw some other things inside the mix, and it makes him unique. So, I mean, I think a lot of writers do that. At least they should. You know, why reinvent the wheel when you got some of these great ideas?
Yeah, I think you almost have to. I don't know. I mean, if there's a way to come up with something that's truly original, I guess it can be done, but I'm not a good enough writer to do it. Like, I think almost everybody, and even really good writers, still steal from somewhere they're buying, or whatever you want to call it. But you know, because it's all, I mean, even just the idea of a novel itself, or the idea of a comic book, or anything else is taken from somewhere. I mean, who's to say that, you know, that a novel needs to be the way it is? Well, it's somebody came up with that at one point, and then other people added to it or subtracted from it, and it's been a sort of collective experience, experiment. And same thing with comic books and movies and everything else. So that if there's an artist or a writer out there who says they don't steal from someone, they're ignorant or they're lying.
Yeah,
because we all do.
You know, look at Star Wars. I mean, Lucas took Kurosawa samurai films and merged them with Buck Rogers. Boom, Star Wars.
Yep.
You know, so
yeah, I mean, it was a brilliant idea, and it was like based on Buck Rogers and stuff. So it's these combinations. I mean, I don't think anybody really expected that combination to work that well, but he saw something that was, you know, like a new, unique way to combine those. I mean, even when they were making the movie, I think people thought, you know, this is going nowhere. This is just ridiculous and going to be terrible. But he, you know, that combination ended up being something special. So
Space Samurais, who knew?
Yep, exactly. Or somebody told me that they were somewhat based on the Jedi are based on the Knights Templar, which makes sense too. So
yeah, it does. So he had all this things to pull from, and he decided to put them all together in the right combination, and it became $1 billion industry. So, like,
and now
we're all entitled.
Disney's doing their best to destroy it. So,
well, that's what they do. That's kind of what they do.
I mean, they're adding nothing to it, and taking from it, and just kind of leaching the goodness out of it gradually.
The best thing they've done is all their television shows I just call side quests, because that's what it is. They're side quests in a game. You know, it's like, I'm gonna do all these side quests because, like, can the Mandalorian carry his own movie? Probably not, but he can carry a TV show for a little bit. You know, gives that little in between stuff. So,
but we don't have to worry about the crappiness that is the House of the Mouse and all of the failing skin suits that were once awesome franchises. You know why? Because we have indie creators making awesome art like Robert Kroese. See, I had to look where I wrote the phonetically. So let's get back on talking about that. So you've got your universes, like the stories themselves seem to be all over the place. Some of it looks like 1950s Buck Rogers kind of sci-fi. Some of it looks like noir. So what is the underlying, other than the main character being Rex, what is the tie that ties through every book in this universe? Like, what is the buy-through?
Well, it really is the character, and the thing is that there's sort of a meta aspect to all these where he's I reference a lot of different properties, fairly explicitly, and so that there's a lot of nods to things like Star Wars or Dune, or I'm trying to remember now what else just a lot of Philip Dick's stuff, and Heinlein, and other sci-fi movies and stuff. And so it's sort of an homage to sci-fi itself, because there's so much of this. It's a story about sci-fi, kind of. So it's sort of a science fiction, sort of a whirlwind tour through the sci-fi universe, the world of the universe of sci-fi. And that's why it's a little bit kind of fractured and kind of all over the place, because there's so many different aspects to sci-fi. But it's always this character and running some kind of a con, and trying to get ahead. And along the way, he's sort of running into all these sort of sci-fi cliches and props and tropes, and either consciously or unconsciously dealing with these things. So it's the idea is that they're just supposed to be fun. It's all just for fun.
Right, that's what makes the best stories. It's for fun. You're
gonna have a good time reading deep. There's nothing deep about any of these books. They're supposed to be just pure enjoyment. I mean, I have fun writing them. And that when I wrote the first one, 10, whatever it was, 11, 12 years ago, I was just making myself laugh. Like, I would just write whatever I thought would, whatever made me laugh. And I thought, well, if I'm laughing while I'm writing it, then people are going to probably enjoy this. And it's like,
oh, absolutely.
That's a good way to work too. I mean, it's like, it doesn't feel like work if you can, it doesn't always flow that way, but a lot of times it's just like, I can get into the groove and I can just be like, oh, I'm going to have him do this. That will be hilarious. And, I can entertain myself. And if I'm laughing, then I figure that the readers are laughing.
Oh, absolutely. You can always tell when the author's having a good time writing it, because you can feel it.
Speaking of having a good time writing it, are there any funny moments where you were writing in public? Because you mentioned sometimes you travel to write, sitting in a cafe or coffee shop, and you just started like reacting to what you wrote and got like weird responses from people around you?
I can't think of any. Usually when I'm writing, I'm so absorbed in the writing of it that I don't even notice what's going. I don't even really know what's going around me like normally. And then when I'm writing, I'm so intent on what I'm writing that like the restaurant or cafe or whatever could be on fire and I wouldn't know. So I don't have any good stories about that, because half the time, I wouldn't notice if the restaurant was on fire in any case, even if I was trying to pay attention, because I'm like the most absent-minded, least situationally aware person in the world. It's kind of a miracle that I survived. Like I go to Colombia and like Eastern Europe, and I've been all over the world, and it's kind of amazing that I'm still alive because of this, because I just like, I'm oblivious. So I live inside my own head. So it's kind of amazing I'm still alive.
Funny story. They attempted to kidnap him a couple times, but he was so oblivious, he didn't follow the man with the gun. So they were like, this guy must be crazy. And they just let him go.
That's pretty much what would happen. Most likely. Like I wouldn't understand the situation that I was in well enough to be like, to even know that I was being threatened. So
I'm in danger.
I did have somebody, I had somebody try to steal my cell phone. I had a few attempted thefts in Colombia. Actually, somebody stole my sandals off the beach in Colombia.
Lord.
I wear size 13 sandals too. So I'm like, somebody with really big feet must have come along and just been like, these are the perfect sandals for me. I looked around for like 10 minutes. I couldn't believe, and they left my bag. My bag had my cell phone in it, was sitting right there. They didn't touch my bag, and they took my sandals, and I couldn't believe it. so I'm just like looking all over the place, like there's no way they took just my sandals, but they did. And then I was telling somebody I had to walk home barefoot, and I was staying in this Airbnb, and I took the elevator up, and there's this guy in the elevator kind of looking at me funny because my feet are bare, and he's like, you're not wearing any shoes. And at the time I was just still learning Spanish. I'm still learning Spanish because it's hard, and I'm an adult, and it's difficult to learn a language. But I'm kind of like halfway fluent in Spanish. So I said, si alguien roba mi sandalias en la playa, and he says, no, you say me roban las sandalias. Like I had said it a little bit wrong, because what you say in Spanish is they stole my sandals, basically, but you don't say the they part. You just say, it basically means my sandals were stolen, but you say they stole my sandals anyway. And I said,
that's how you conjugate the verb.
Right. It's verb. It's very complicated. It's conjugation. And I said, oh, okay. Sí, aún estoy aprendiendo. I said, which means I'm still learning. And he said, sí, estás aprendiendo que no debes dejar tus sandalias en la playa, which means, yes, you're learning not to leave your sandals on the beach, which I thought was pretty funny for some random guy in the elevator. I laughed pretty hard because I was like, yeah, that's pretty clever. So
you're right. And it's kind of funny, but I still don't have sandals.
Yeah, I had to walk to the mall and buy myself new sandals because somebody stole just my sandals.
Well, let me ask you this then. You had that experience where because you go to these places to write where it's warm, and you're learning the language. Do you write for Rex any situations where he's going somewhere where he has to learn a new language because he's on an alien planet or whatever, to incorporate your frustrations?
I don't think I ever have. I've dealt with that a lot in other books, like the Iron Dragon books, because of course these people from the future speak basically modern English, and they go back in the past, and I did incorporate some of my experiences with trying to speak a foreign language, some of the misunderstandings that they have, and the sorts of things that you don't think about that are like cultural differences, that work their way into situations where that can be a problem, that cause misunderstandings between people. So I have dealt. I do. That's one of the reasons actually that I started to learn Spanish, because I thought that I liked the idea of trying to understand like people thinking in a different language, and like the barrier that proposes, because that happens a lot, obviously, in stories and in history. And it's something that I had no direct experience with. And so that's one of the reasons. The other main reason being that I like to escape Michigan in the winter, and I want to go someplace warm where they speak Spanish, because it's cheap and it's warm. But yeah, I don't think Rex has encountered any of that. I should do that. I have to think a little bit more about whether I've ever done that, but that's a good possibility, because that could lead into some good comedic situations for him.
So you've got 3 books that you are kickstarting this time. Do you think that there will potentially be 4 to make this 8th in the series, or are you wrapping the series up with these 3?
I doubt that I'll wrap it up. These books are kind of open-ended. That I always they're sort of episodic. There's a little bit of a through arc where there's continuity between the situations. But for the most part, they're sort of self-contained adventures, and I want to leave it that way. I don't want to have any kind of like overarching story that to wrap up. I want to always kind of leave it open, just because that's the kind of books that they are. And I don't know. I kind of think I might. Well, I'll see how these sell, what the reception is. So far, the reaction has been really good. A lot of interest. People like the idea of more of these books, and they like the covers. And I'll see how these, see if I actually still remember how to write these things. And if it goes well, I might write a bunch more of them. This might be my next, my 2025 project too, to write 3 more of these. We'll see.
Okay. So no definite close, just, you know, constantly leaving potential for more with this character. Do you think there'll be any spinoffs in this universe? Can you hear me?
You sort of cut off there, but did you ask if there would be spinoffs?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I sort of did that with I did a novella featuring this female bounty hunter character, Pepper Melange, and I thought about doing other books, like centering on other characters in the series. That's a possibility. We'll see.
Okay. All right. So presumably if the Kickstarter gets backed, what are the stretch goals that you have? Do you add another book if you get a certain stretch goals, or are you just capping it at?
Yeah, I don't actually have any stretch goals at this point. I have a pretty definite plan. I mean, all of my Kickstarters, I think I've done, this is like the 13th that I've done now, which is kind of unreal to me, because I've been doing this now for about 13 years. So I've done about one a year, and almost every one of them has funded, and almost every one of them has gone way over, and I keep raising a little bit more money each time. So apparently I'm doing something right, because they keep this one might fall a little short of the last one, but it's doing pretty well. And so it's almost, I think we're a little over $11,000, and I'm aiming to raise 15. And it'll probably end up around somewhere in the 23,000 range, which I would be very happy with. But there aren't any. It's pretty much what you see is what you get. It's all out there. There's 3 books, and then just the additional swag and stuff involved in that. So I'm not planning on any stretch goals at this point, but I might very well do more books in this series, though, but just outside of the Kickstarter, or I might do another Kickstarter for them. We'll see. I really don't know. I plan about a year and ahead as far as writing, and writing 3 of these books in a year is pretty comfortable for me, because these books are around 230 pages, which is a little on the shorter side, and I can write one in about 3 months. And so if I take a few weeks in between to kind of recharge and read other stuff, then a year gives me enough time to write 3 of them, and deliver everything on time.
Okay. Was there anything about this Kickstarter or this universe that we didn't ask that you think we should know?
I don't know. You've been pretty thorough. Let's see. It's the books. Well, as far as like release dates of the books and stuff, I think I have that on the Kickstarter. They basically going to be they're going to be a book coming out about every 3 or 4 months, something like that. So and I think I gave myself a little bit of padding this time. So it's I think the 3rd book is going to come out in December, and I'll probably be a little. Well, I shouldn't say, but because if I'm going to jinx myself, but I'm aiming to get it done sooner than that. So, but they'll all be available on Amazon, and they'll be available in Kindle format and paperback, and actually hardcovers this time, because that's one of the Kickstarter rewards, and also an audio book. I've got the same narrator who did all the other books. The original Starship Grifters was done by a different narrator who is like one of the top 10 narrators in the world. So she's insanely expensive, and Amazon can afford to pay someone like that, and I can't. But I found somebody who is, I think, as good, if not better than her. I just have, and she has agreed to do do the rest of these books. She did the second, third, and fourth books in the series, and she's going to be doing the rest of them as well. So and she does a fantastic job on the really great books to listen to as audio books. People really enjoy her reading of the characters. She really has a lot of fun. It's one of the reasons, though, even though I really can't afford her anymore either, but she enjoys doing these books so much because they're so much fun for her to read all the different characters and just the insane situations and stuff. She loves doing Rex's voice and Pepper and Sasha. And so the audiobooks will be coming out probably, each audiobook will come out a month or two after the books get released on Amazon, and they'll unfortunately only available on Kindle, no other ebook format. I don't know how many people use other formats, but I'm Amazon exclusive for ebooks right now because business stuff just makes more sense for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we've got that written down. This is being recorded on the 3rd, and it will be uploaded as soon as we are done. So let me ask you this, sir. How long is this Kickstarter going on for people that might not listen to it Monday, where they're used to getting our podcast?
I believe it's going through December 20th. Let me double check this. Make sure I got that right. It says 16 days to go. So, and we're on the 3rd. Yeah. So we're most of the way through the 3rd. So it's, on the 20th of December, the thing ends. And we're about 75% of the way funded. We're a little over 11,000 now. So should be able to fund, but yeah, people have a little bit of time yet, a couple weeks to get their pledges in. And there's all different levels of support where you can just get the ebooks, or you can go all out and pledge the $1,500 level and get a whole bunch of extra stuff, have a character that you get to name and have some input into. And then you can make me happy and allow me to buy food and pay for my mortgage and stuff. But yeah.
I mean, sir, this is 2023. Buying food.
Go to Kickstarter and support the Rex Nilo expanded universe.
So this is 2023. I think.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that's rich people luxuries. Okay.
And sadly, the prices of ebooks and books in general haven't really gone up. So I'm not making more money. Generally with inflation, people tend to, you get raises and stuff, but as authors, we don't get raises. And like ebooks are still mostly at like $5. So I make the same amount as I did last year. So even though inflation is taking off, I don't make any more money. So I'm getting screwed. So help me out, help me and the other indie authors like me, so that we can change the culture and get some good stuff out there, and don't have to rely on crappy old IP from big corporations that hate you.
Absolutely. So we have covered all of the things. They will be linked to in the show notes. But before we let you go, Robert, can you tell us how they can find you on the wild interwebs?
Well, I have a website which is easy to remember, which is badnovelist.com. And it's badnovelist.com because I am so bad about switching genres all the time. So that's kind of an inside joke. But and I think that has links to all my other stuff. I keep getting my website keeps getting taken down from malware and crap. So I had to keep rebuilding it. So it's pretty basic at this point. But and then I'm on Twitter, Rob Kroese, and that's where I spend most of my time online, is on Twitter. And yeah, you can go to Amazon and look me up. All my books are on Amazon.
Okay. We will link to all of those in the show notes, dear listener. Speaking of how you can find people on the internet, you can find us on our Linktree, linktr.ee, Linktree/Blasters and Blades podcast. Again, Linktree/Blasters and Blades podcast, where we link to all the things, the bit shoots, the rumbles, the Twitters, the emails. We link to Madam Stabby Stab's Instagram, Twitter, and email. We link to our Facebook group and page where you can follow us and join in all of the shenanigans. And you can also follow us on our website at anchor.fm/blasters, tack and tack blades. Again, anchor.fm/blasters, tack and tack blades, where for as little as 99 cents a month, you can help keep the lights on. These episodes aren't free to produce. The overhead does have cost for us, and we appreciate everything you do to defray that. You can also support the show more directly by going to buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put in the comment section that it's for the podcast, and I promise I will keep my co-host duly caffeinated. They will drink the great coffee brand coffee until it pours out of their eyeballs. And Madam Stabby Stab needs more, so like hook a brother up, or sister in this case, I guess.
Yeah, hook a sister up.
Yeah, and be sure to use the code for Coffee Brand Coffee. Link is in the show notes. It's podcast grunts, because we're creative like that, because we have a podcast and we were grunts. See how smart we are, Nick?
Super intelligent.
We are brains, big brains
together.
Yes, together. All right. Thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. Seriously, Robert, despite the lag, this was fun. I appreciate you coming on. We're going to have you back again. And whoever it is, I don't know which one of us is having internet problems. We'll blame California, because why not? We will have to have you back, sir. This was fun. It's always Nick's fault.
Yeah, but anytime. Just
right.
Message me like 20 minutes before so I can get out of the bathtub in time.
All right.
I'll probably forget, like I always do.
Sounds like a good problem to have. And we're out. Wait.